My name is Jason McDaniel, and I'm an assistant professor here in the political science department. My specialties are urban politics and elections, and then American voting and elections in general. When I started grad school, I didn't think too much about the conferences, why participate. I was sort of putting it off into the future, and I thought I would think about it later. I had never gone to a political science conference before I was in grad school. Nowadays, grad schools and PhD programs especially, they sort of expect that. They want undergraduates and MA students to have done some presentations at conferences, whether it be graduate school conferences or at actual disciplinary conferences. One, I think it's a good idea for our grad students to be thinking about along those lines. But I remember my first conference, my first presentation, I was scared. And I don't like showing my work to other people. I don't like showing it to the professors or even other grad students, because I feel sort of insecure about it sometimes, especially when I was starting off. And I remember getting some responses from the discussants and from the audience, and I was pretty nervous and pretty scared, and got some pretty strong criticisms. And so I think it's important for our students to understand that everyone, most people feel that way. Presenting your work is scary, it's nerve-wracking, but the process can be very rewarding once you start doing it. You get better at it once you start doing it. One of the things that I learned in going to conferences was that there's no expectation that it will be perfect work right away. It's got to be good, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And that actually, once I realized that, it helped me. I understood that the expectations were that I had to do really good work, but that I was going to expect that it was going to change after the conference. I was going to get feedback, and I was going to see some problems with it, and that's a normal process. So this is, to me, I think, something just like rewriting a paper. You're writing a paper, you're getting your ideas out there, you're getting feedback from people like me or other professors or even your colleagues, other graduate students, and that helps you figure out where to go with it next. And that's something in life in general, that kind of process of always trying to make something better, revise, or whether you're writing or something, working on something. Additionally, it's that kind of impetus. A conference gives you the incentive to go out there, put your ideas out there, and then rewrite them and make them better for the next time. Well, I think on the day of a conference, whether you're participating or not, right, it's an interesting experience. I like to go when I'm not participating in a panel, and I watch other scholars or listen to other people in the audience ask questions after I present my paper. I get feedback from the professor who's just the discussant or the chair of the panel. They tell me what they think, what's good, what's bad about the paper. So that's one thing to expect if you're participating. But if you're just in the audience, I think it's a good idea to go as well and to see how others are responding to the process and ask questions and see how others are reacting to a paper. You might hear something like, oh, I didn't think about that while you're in the audience, right? To see how other people had questions and in the research, and how they went about attacking a research problem and presenting their focus. I think you learn how to be a better student in general, as well as a better scholar when you attend these sorts of things, as well as when you participate in them. It is a good networking thing. Like I get to meet scholars whose work I've read, and they get to meet me. And as graduate students, you get to meet your professors, and maybe you want to write a thesis with them, or you're going to write an exam with them in the future. It's a way to understand their thinking and have them get to know you. And so that's another good reason why I think students in our department should be participating in this kind of a process as well. Even if you're not planning to go into a PhD program, this process of designing a research problem, a question, and writing a paper and to try to answer that question is kind of similar to a lot of things in a real-world work environment. Projects that you have to initiate, design yourself with little supervision, and presenting that work to your colleagues. That process is a fairly common process in a lot of different work environments. And so I think, doing this, participating, getting that feedback, a lot of people, you're going to be very nervous, but you're going to see that you can do it. And so it's a good way to learn about yourself and how you work in general. For those who are going to grad school, this is essential. If you want to go into a PhD program, if they've seen that you've done, participated in these kinds of research conferences, presented work, they're going to see you as a future scholar. This is this is going to be a way for you to decide whether you want to be a future scholar. So if you're any way of thinking about further grad school or going to PhD programs, I think it's essential to participate in this sort of thing. I think that students who participated in this conference here in our department and on our campus, they should think about this as a way to decide whether they want to present this paper, work on it again, to present at a big national conference. You know, those presentation deadlines, application deadlines are in the fall usually for the conferences, but this is a way to decide, okay, do I want to do this? So if you are going to go on to a PhD program, your goal should be to present some work at a national conference before you before you apply. And so if you do participate in this conference in the spring, then you can revise it over the summer and present and apply to present it in the fall, and then you will actually present it in the next spring, a year from now. So I think this is a very good idea to think about that, and to at least see some professors and ask them about the process and get to know more about that kind of process. I just hope we get a lot of people participating, and I know it's a lot of work, you know, and there's the nebulous rewards maybe, but I hope we get a lot of people presenting, and because we as professors, we want to see our students doing this sort of thing, and we've done that, and we get a lot of satisfaction from it when we see a student doing, you know, good work in this regard. So I hope everybody thinks about participating and actually does decide to present a paper.